Let's bring in SiriusXM radio host and ABC News contributor Mike Muse. Mike, thanks for being here as always. Let's talk this through, because Scarlett's attorney is saying that releasing this film on Disney Plus is essentially saving them from having to pay her what they would have with a box office release. Disney says there's no merit whatsoever to this filing. So what happens now?
I think now it's in the battle of the court hands now. I think what's interesting is that what we've learned is that Scarlett Johansson's attorneys has an email from Disney saying that, Scarlett Johansson's team was asking for assurance that it will be a theatrical release. And the executives from Disney in an email said that if any changes was to happen, they would make sure that they come to an understanding, recognizing what the contract is at stake. So I think it all comes down to documentations. I don't really see this being a very complicated case. I think the documentations is pretty much going to speak for itself.
What does this mean for other films already released on streaming services? Could this case have a bit of a domino effect?
Absolutely. This case is going to set precedent for so many things. Streaming platforms now are, let me say this in two parts. Studios are now looking at consumer behavior patterns changing. Consumers just don't want to only go see movies in theaters. There's a large part of America who still does, but there's another large part of movie watchers who are enjoying watching it from home. And these streaming platforms has allowed for that comfortability to exist. And so studios are now having to adapt to how then do we release theatrical, but then also to cater to those who have no interest in coming back to theaters. It's a twofold. It definitely has an impact on the actors in the sense of they do get a lot of back end, and a lot of the ancillary deals are based on that. Because what happens, Diane, when you go to streaming, when you do two-part in theater and in streaming, it's about the second weekend box office. You usually see an extreme decline in box office tickets when you see dual release at the same time. And so actors now are going to have to think differently about their contracts and agreements. I'm curious, Diane, going forward, how does this impact independent filmmakers? A lot of times they'll get these big actors to accept so much less on the back end with a larger percentage, a smaller increase on the front end with a larger percentage on the back end to increase them and incentivize them to actually getting in some of these smaller budgets, independent movies. And so I'm actually curious how it's going to affect that market.
And any chance in terms of future film releases, Mike, do you think now that they've started this kind of release, do you see them going back to the traditional box office only model?
I don't think so, Diane. Again, the pandemic has changed so much consumer behavior patterns. People are looking to shopping online exclusively. People are more open and interested in ordering from apps that deliver your food services. And so I think now people are more open to watching movies at home. And what Disney Plus has proved with this box office, with their premium access sales is that there was a demand and a large demand for at-home viewing experiences. And so you can't, from a business decision, just turn your back on that consumer. But it comes to a point is I think deals are going to have to look so much different going forward. And I think Scarlett Johansson's case is going to set precedent that would change the economic revenue of Hollywood, both from studios, streaming platforms, and also from the actors.
All right. SiriusXM radio host and ABC News contributor Mike Muse. Always great to have you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.